Okay, let's do this.
Namaste. On 20th July 1969, two humans stepped out of an aircraft and onto the surface of Moon. This was the greatest achievement in history, and it was not just anything, it's a movement that marked the culmination of decades of scientific research and technological development. But what did spark the quest for the moon? It was a nuclear bomb that the United States dropped on the surface of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, which ended the World War II but started Cold War. Welcome to the Space Race for Dummies, the video series that explores the geopolitics of space. In this video, we will also explore the basics of space race, the competition between United States and Soviet Union for superior space flight capabilities in 20th century. The story of space race begins with a big bang, a nuclear bang. On 6th and 9th August 1945, United States dropped a nuclear bomb on Japanese city of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing hundreds of thousands of people and ending World War II. It was not just the military victory, but also a scientific and technological breakthrough. The US had developed the most powerful weapon ever seen and used it to end the most powerful war ever fought. But they were not alone. The Soviet Union, the ally in the war against Nazi Germany, was also working on their own atomic bomb. They had spies who infiltrated the US nuclear program and stolen secrets. They had scientists who learned about the rockets from the German scientists who made the first missiles in history. They had the leader Joseph Stalin, who was determined to challenge US for the global supremacy. The Soviets tested their first atomic bomb on 29th August 1949, shocking the Americans and the world. They had caught up with the US in the nuclear race, but they were not going to stop there. They wanted to surpass them in all fields of science and technology, especially in space. Space was new frontier, the final frontier, where new possibilities and discoveries awaited. It was a place of mystery where you can put satellites to spy on enemies, provide communication to allies, and you can monitor weather and resources. Both sides wanted to be the first to explore and exploit space. They were also willing to spend billions of dollars and risk human lives to do so. They also wanted to show off their achievements to the world, to prove their supremacy and win over allies and enemies alike. The space race was on. The first shot was fired by the Soviets on 4th October 1957 when they launched Sputnik 1, the first satellite in history. It was the size of a beach ball and weighing 83 kilograms. The satellite had 4 antennas and it could emit radio signals that can be heard by anyone having a receiver. It orbited Earth every 96 minutes. The Americans were stunned by the Sputnik. They had been working on their own satellite project called Vanguard, but they were having difficulties and delays. They also underestimated Soviets' ambitions and capabilities. They thought they had more time than they actually did. Sputnik was a wake-up call for Americans. It showed them that they were falling behind in the space race and they needed to catch up fast with the Soviets. They were also scared that the Soviets could use their capabilities to launch nuclear weapons at them from space. The US response was swift and decisive. They launched their satellite Explorer 1 on 31st January 1958. But it was not without difficulties. Their most notorious failure was when Vanguard T3 exploded on launchpad only 2 seconds after the launch. They were mocked by the media and the public. Americans also created NASA in October 1958 to coordinate their military and civilian space efforts, replacing NACA earlier. NASA would become one of the most influential organizations in the space industry. But the Soviets were not resting on their laurels. They had more surprises in store for the Americans and the world. The next chapter in the story of space race is about sending living beings into space, humans and animals. As you may know, the space is full of vacuum, radiations, high temperatures and microgravity. So it has various effects on psychology of human beings and other things. So before sending human beings, scientists wanted to confirm the effects of these things into the humans. So they wanted to send animals to test the effects. The Soviets were number one by sending the dog named Lila in November 1957, but she died during the flight. But the Americans sent a monkey named Ham into the space in January 1961, and he survived. After studying the effects of spaceflight on animals, scientists wanted to test the humans to see how they would cope up with the extreme temperatures, radiations, vacuum, and microgravity. So, they also wanted to see how the humans would behave and perform tasks in space. The first human in space was Yuri Gagarin, who had completed one orbit around the Earth in 108 minutes on Vostok 1 in April 12, 1961. He was launched by Soviet Union, who was leading the space race from Sputnik 1. So, he became the national hero and the global celebrity after doing so. He was also the first person to see Earth from space and also experience weightlessness. The first American in space was Alan Shepard.
Norway, Alan Shepard, slated today to be America's first man in space.
5, Kevin, oxygen, go! All systems.
He was sent by United States, who were lagging behind the Sputnik in the space race. He did not orbit the Earth, but was on suborbital altitude of 187 kilometers. He was in space for 15 minutes and returned back safely. The ultimate goal for the space race became to land the human on Moon, when President John F. Kennedy announced this as the national objective of the United States in May 1961 and challenged Soviets to do it first.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
The Americans won this part of the space race when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on Moon on their Apollo 11 mission and returned safely back to Earth. They were watched by millions of people around the Earth on television. The Soviets never landed humans on the Moon, but they did achieve many other feats, such as they were first to impact a spacecraft on Moon with Luna 2 in 1959, the first to photograph the far side of the Moon with Luna 3 in 1959, and the first to soft land a spacecraft on the Moon with Luna 9 in 1966. They also sent several robotic rovers and sample return missions on the Moon. The space race was a journey that changed our world and our view of ourselves. It was a journey that took us to new heights and new horizons, that sparked innovation and invention, that inspired generations and movements. The space race was also a competition that shaped our history and our future. It was a competition that shows us the beauty and fragility of our planet, that challenged us to dream and dare, that made us realize how small we are in the vastness of space, but how great we can be when we work together. The space race is not over. It continues today with new players and new goals, with new challenges and new opportunities. In the next episode of Space Race for Dummies, we will keep exploring the geopolitics of space in the 21st century. We will see how the rise of new actors such as China, India, and private companies has changed the dynamics and the stake of the space race. We will also see how the emergence of new domains such as Moon, Mars, and asteroids has opened up new possibilities and new frontiers for human exploration and discovery. Thank you for watching this episode of Space Race for Dummies. Don't forget to tune in for the next episode for the space race of present. And until then, keep exploring